Hi, good evening. Today is May the 20th, and I would like to tell you the story about a pen in order for you and me to avoid a misperception, right? Shall we begin? First of all, what it is. This is a pen, right? We use this for writing, okay? So what it will happen if I give this to a dog? What can it do? It can chew it, right? Because it thinks that this is a chew toy. So this is a pen for a man to write and a chew toy for a dog to chew. So who is right? The answer is both are right. Why? Because they are different, very different entities, and different entities can have different point of view, and that's very easy to understand. So the first lesson of the story of the pen is that we have to respect the point of view of others. I'm gonna move to the next lessons. So imagine this time I put this thing in an empty room where there's no man, no dog. So what we call this at this time? Nothing, right? Because the entity that give it a name or a point of view doesn't exist, don't exist nearby for now. So the ancient intelligence say that this is the emptiness. The emptiness doesn't mean that this thing disappear, but it is to say that it has unlimited potentiality in the way that it can receive countless point of view from the observers. And God, we're gonna see this through the following illustration. Remember, this thing is now in the empty room, and it shows its emptiness, right? So what will happen if tomorrow I open the door and I invite the man to come back and see it? The man will see it at the pen and use it for writing, right? Okay. What if I don't invite the man but invite the dog to come back and see this? The dog will see it at the chew toy and chew it. And if I invite both the man and the dog to come back, both the two point of view will happen at the same time, okay? And what if I make it in a larger scale? I invite 1,000, 1 million, or even 1 billion of people to come in the room. If it can fit those people, there will be 1,000, 1 million, and 1 billion point of view respectively happen at the same time. So all of this say that this thing and every other thing has its own emptiness, in a way that they all have unlimited potentiality in the way that it can receive countless point of view from the observers. We're gonna move to the next lesson, but before doing this, I used to have two questions. By answering those two, I can arrive at the third lesson as well. So the first question is that we say that it can receive countless point of views. So before it can receive countless point of view, what can hold these countless point of view, right? This is my first question. So you're gonna see that I hold this thing in my hand and I call this is a pen. The fact that this is a pen comes from my mind, or it's come from itself. The fact that it's called the pen is come from my mind. Why? Because if it's come from itself, the dog will also see that this is a pen and not a chew toy, right? So I was persuaded that all come from the mind of the observer, right? And my mind in this case is limited enough to hold limited point of views. And I agree with this. And the next question is that before we say that this thing can receive point of view from the man, the dog, and 1,000 different people, these are different entities, but in this case, this is me, the observer, a single entity. So my question is that can it receive countless point of view from myself, from a single observer? So I'm gonna test. I close my eye and I say that I want to change this thing from a pen to a diamond in order to be rich, for example. And I open my eyes and I see that there's still a pen, right? And I still can write with it. So there's still a pen and not a diamond. So I was somehow disappointed and say that there's something wrong. But the ancient intelligence say that all you do so far is good enough. You only lack of one thing, which is seed in your mind. The six is what you do, think, and say. It's serving. It is they. When you do things and say something, it will create an imprint in your mind, and serving as a seed in your mind will grow at some point of the time and cover an image on this thing. And if that image is a diamond, I will call this a diamond. Okay, so right now I still cannot change it from pen to a diamond because I don't have the seeds. Okay, so the third lessons, those two answers form the third lesson, which is everything that's come from our mind, or more concretely, it's come from what we do, say, and think. And the fourth lesson, which is the last one, in this life, if we want to have something, we have to start seeding, no other choice, because all come from our mind, right? So the story of the pen is finished with 4 lessons. The first one, we have to respect the point of view of others. The second one, everything has its own emptiness, meaning that it has limited potentiality. The third lesson is that everything comes from our mind, or more concretely, it comes from what we do, say, and think. And the fourth lesson is that in this life, we want to have something, we have to start seeding. The story apparently is very simple, but in fact it's very deep. In order to understand it the deepest, as deep as possible, I need to repeat the story with at least 3,000 times. So please accept my gratitude for seeing you tomorrow, repeating this story again, for the sake of us to avoid the misperception. And thank you. Bye bye.